The earliest memory I have is our parents and friends and neighbors teaching us about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. We had to make sure that we behaved in certain ways. And there was a different world, black and white world. We couldn't ride in the front of the buses. We couldn't use certain facilities, restrooms, and different things around town. If we wanted to go and buy a pair of shoes or clothing, they could only hold the shoe up. We couldn't try them on. We couldn't try on a cat.
Ballad of Birmingham by W. Brandon. Mother dear, when I go downtown instead of out to play and march the streets of Birmingham in a freedom march to them. No, baby, no. You may not go. For the dogs are fierce and wild, and clubs and hoses, guns and jails are good for a little child. But, mother, I won't be alone. Other children will go there too, and march the streets of Birmingham to make our country free. No, baby, no, you may not go, for I fear those guns will fire. But you may go to church instead, and sing in the children's choir. She has combed and brushed her night dark hair, and patted rose petals sweet, and drawn white gloves on her small brown hands, and white shoes on her feet. The mother smiled to know her child was in a separate place, but that smile was the last smile to come upon her face. For when she heard the explosion, her eyes grew wet and wild. She raced through the streets of Birmingham, calling for her child. She clawed through bricks and glass, then lifted out a shoe. Oh, there's the shoe my baby wore. The baby, where are you?
How she sat there, the time right inside a place, so wrong it was ready. That dream, named with its dream of a bench to rest on, her sensible cold. Doing nothing was the doing. The clean flame of her gaze, carved by a camera flash. How she stood up when they bent down to retrieve her purse that courtesy.
This is not a small voice you hear. This is a large voice coming out of these cities. This is the voice of Pratjnya, Khadijah, Shaniqua. This is the voice of Antoine, Daryl, Shaquille, running over waters, navigating the hallways of our schools, spilling out on the corners of our cities, and no epitaphs spill out of their river mouths. This is not a small laugh you hear. This is a large laugh, a passion for kissing learning on its face. This is a love that crowns the feet with hands, that nourishes, conceives, fills the water sails, mends the children, folds them inside our history, where they toast more than the flesh, where they suck the bones of the alphabet and spit out closed vowels. This is a love colored with iron and lace. This is a love initialed Black Genius. This is not a small voice you hear.
Immigrant Blues by Liang. People have been trying to kill me since I was born. A man tells his son, trying to explain the wisdom of learning a second tongue. It's an old story from the previous century about my father and me. The same old story from yesterday morning about me and my son. It's called Survival Strategies and the Melancholy of Racial Assimilation. It's called Psychological Paradox of Displaced Person, called The Child Who Rather Play Than Study. Practice until you feel the language inside you, says the man. But what does he know about inside and outside? My father, who was spared nothing in spite of the language used, and me, confused about the flesh and the soul, who asked once into a telephone, "Am I inside you?" "You are always inside me," a woman answered, at peace with the body's finitude, at peace with the soul's disregard of space and time. "Am I inside you?" I asked once, lying between her legs, confused about the body and the heart. "If you don't believe you are inside me, you are not," she answered, at peace with the body's grip, at peace with the heart's bewilderment. It's an ancient story from yesterday evening called Patterns of Love in Peoples of Diaspora, called Loss of Home Place and the Defilement of the Beloved, called I Want to Sing, but I don't know any songs.
Those White People by Jonathan A.G. Wilson. That England team in white, those winning people each night, standing shoulder to shoulder with black teammates, getting down on one knee, ignoring the booze, the news, and whitewashing of Westminster. Yes, mister, those autocrats without a clue, anti-socially distant and pandemic ignorant. while we sing the blues and homeschool. They rule by division and spread alternative facts. On the unsavory legacy slavery, rose-tinted memories of Commonwealth, health versus wealth, and the commerce of colorism. But our number is the working class, who outclass aristocratic hypocrisy with 442, 4231, mathematics and grassroots tactics. We breathe as one. We move as one. Shoot, score, applaud. Game on.
Hello, my name is Galang, and I read The Ballad of Birmingham by Lobi. Why I picked this poetry, because it is about racial prejudice, right? And the poem was written in response to the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, and which had a predominantly black congregation, was targeted by white supremacists on September 15, 1963, and there are 4 young black girls were killed in the explosion, and 22 other congregants were injured. And the points here carries the message that no place is a safe haven against racial prejudice, especially when the government does not offer equal protection. The bombing occurred in 1963, a year before passage of the Civil Rights Act, which outlawed discrimination based on the race, color, sex, religion, or even national origin.
Good morning to all of you. My name is Adrianus Tikneon. My student number is 171-214-152. In this video, I'm going to tell you the reason for choosing the poem that I'm going to read. So the reason for choosing the poem, because the poem is dedicated life story of the extraordinary civil rights and activist and icon. And why you like it or enjoy it? Personally, I like it because the meaning of the poem itself is very deep, and it also having its own history. Who is the writer? Where is she from? The poem was written on 1999, and it was written by Rosa. She is from USA. What is the poem about? The poem is about Rita Duff and Rosa Parks. Both of them were on the bus. So where did you get this story? I get this poem from book of Rita Duff. So it talks about racism and discrimination.
Hi, I'm Tika and I read This Is Not a Small Voice by Sonia Sanchez. So since we chose oppression towards minorities as our theme, I chose this poem because it fits really well with the theme, and I also like how The writer lets everyone know that despite the racism and oppression they have faced, Black people have a unique strength and beauty that are built upon a foundation of love and collaboration. So the writer, Sonia Sanchez, has become a big influence in African American poetry history. She was also a teacher, which is being resonated well in her works, including this one. This poem was written in 1995, which was when the civil rights movement was still happening, and through this poem she was trying to imply that although she may be an African American woman, and even though there are social injustice that she experienced, she and the others will not be silenced due to the color of their skin, for this is not a small voice you hear.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I read Immigrant Blues by Lee. I choose this poem because not only does this poem fit with the chosen theme, but it also helps us imagine being in someone else's and experience the struggles and the life of an immigrant. Lee was born in Jakarta, Indonesia in 1957. Both of Lee's parents came from powerful Chinese family. They moved to USA during the Vietnam War, which makes them immigrants. In this poem, Lee is trying to explain the struggles of immigrating to a new country. He also underlines the importance of silence by letting us pause and contemplate many times throughout it. Along with that, he doesn't force his views upon us. Instead, it's like he's inviting us to converse with him. Immigrant Blues talks about and explores an array of identities. The author does this by coming up with a number of titles for the story, all trying to define the experience of being an immigrant. Likewise, he identifies himself in different roles throughout the story, starting out as the son, then the father, and finally the lover. Finally, he also questions his personal identity and existence.
Hi everyone, my name is Lobi. I'm a student of English Language Education Study Program at Sanata Dharma University. I chose this poem entitled Those White People, written by Jonathan A.G. Wilson. He is a professor at Regent's University in London. He wrote this poem on July 2021 after the semi-final match of Euro 2021 between England and Denmark. This poem is about a campaign against racism, discrimination, and inequality. There are two reasons why I choose this poem. The first one, because our group main topic is about racial issues, and the second one, I love the way Jonathan describes this poem, how he connect the elements in football with the unity, with the togetherness, and the main is how they work in team to get something. And finally, I also get this poem on Twitter. Thank you.